Welcome back to Math 103. This is video number 2 on measuring power. Last time we were discussing the common intuition, which might or might not work in practice, that votes should be allocated to committee members in proportion to the populations of the regions they represent, in order to make the power that the representatives wield on the committee proportional to those populations. So following this principle, in the hope of weighting the influence of the committee members in proportion to their populations, we could give the Northern New Jersey representative 4 votes, the Central Jersey representative 3 votes, and the Southern Jersey representative 2 votes, and then their vote totals would indeed be in exactly the same ratio, exactly the same proportion as the populations they represent. Okay, that is a common intuition about how we achieve this goal of distributing power in the same proportion as population. It might seem obvious that that would be the way to do it. So our task in this chapter is to understand whether this kind of proportional voting scheme achieves its goal. In particular, the votes are in the ratio 4:3:2, but are the shares of actual power in the same ratio of 4:3:2? Really emphasize this. That's the fundamental question for us. It will be helpful to us to have some terminology to describe this kind of a situation. So the 3 representatives are called players, and the number of votes each one casts, each one is casting their votes as a block, are called the weights. So the weight of the Northern Jersey representative is 4. The weight of the Central Jersey representative is 3, and the weight of the Southern Jersey representative is 2. So the general setup for studying how much power each committee member really has is the following. So a committee member, some committee member, it doesn't matter which one, proposes a motion, right? This is just the name for a proposal, a suggestion that they're going to vote on. So, for example, this committee recommends lowering tuition by 10% at every state institution. Or this committee recommends raising the sale tax to 7.5%, etc. Okay. So each member casts all of his or her votes as a block, either for yes or all for no. Okay, there's no splitting up their votes partly for yes, partly for no. There is a certain number of votes that we call the quota, such that if the number of yes votes is greater than or equal to the quota, the motion passes. Otherwise, the motion fails. Okay, so the quota is the threshold, the minimum number of votes required, the minimum number of yes votes required to make a motion pass. A comment here is that the burden is on the yes voters to reach the quota. Okay, so if the yes voters reach the quota, great, the proposal passes, and if the yes votes fall short of the quota, then the motion fails. Now, in our example, in which the 3 different representatives cast 4 votes, 3 votes, and 2 votes respectively, we can ask, how much should the quota be? Well, there are a total of 4 plus 3 plus 2 equals 9 votes total, so the quota really needs to be more than half of 9, more than half the total number of votes. It means 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or even 9 votes could be the quota. There is really no reason why the minimum threshold for passing a motion needs to be set at exactly the smallest possible number that it could be. We might, for example, want to set up the committee so that a somewhat higher level of agreement is required in order to pass something. It might even be that we want to require unanimity in order to pass a motion. Now, why exactly can the quota not be less than 5? Well, imagine that there are 2 different factions. For example, the Northern Jersey representative is one faction, and the Southern and Central Jersey representatives are the other faction, and the Northern Jersey representative wants to pass a motion that says all the tax dollars have to be spent inside Northern Jersey, and the other 2 representatives want to pass a proposal that says the opposite, that all state tax dollars should be allocated to Central and Southern New Jersey. Well, if the quota were less than 5, if, for example, it were 4, then the Northern Jersey representative, the sole member of that faction, could pass one resolution, and the other faction could pass the opposite resolution. In other words, there would be chaos. There would be contradictory motions being passed by the same committee. Okay, so we've established that the quota needs to be at least 5. Let's investigate what happens when the quota is exactly 5. So only a simple majority of votes are needed in order to pass a motion. So we have notation for this. We're going to describe this whole setup, which is called a weighted voting system, because the different participants, the different players, each have different weights. We're going to denote this particular weighted voting system by 5:4, 3, 2. So in general, that's quota first, followed by a colon, then weight of player number 1, weight of player number 2, weight of player number 3, etc. Okay. The convention is to write the weights in decreasing order. Our next questions are about coalitions, that is, groups of committee members who all vote yes together inside our weighted voting system. So what are all the possible groupings of committee members who could all vote yes together? You could have all 3 members voting yes on the same proposal. That's the grand coalition, we call it. That's always on our list of coalitions, and that has, in this example, 4 plus 3 plus 2 is a total of 9 yes votes. We could have just Northern and Central voting yes. That means that Southern is specifically voting no. Okay, so this notation describes a scenario in which Northern and Central are the only yes voters, and Southern is specifically voting no. So in this case, the yes voters have 7 yes votes. You could have another scenario in which Northern and Southern are voting yes, which means Central is specifically voting no. So the total number of yes votes is 4 plus 2, that's 6. You could have Central and Southern voting yes, that's 5 yes votes. You could have Northern alone voting yes, that's one possible scenario, right? It won't be enough votes to win, but that is a coalition. Okay, that is one scenario, that Northern is the only supporter, while Central and Southern are opposed. Similarly, Central could be the sole supporter, that would be only 3 yes votes. Southern could be the sole supporter, that would be only 2 yes votes. It's conceivable that there are no supporters at all. We don't even bother including that on the list. Before going on to the next video, please answer the following 2 questions. First, which are the winning coalitions in this example? So which are the coalitions with enough yes votes to pass a motion? And now, the key question: what does your list of winning coalitions tell you about how much power each committee member actually possesses? This requires a little bit more thought.